Cannabis panel. My name is Amirdash. I'm a nurse practitioner, owner and operator of Pakaloha Care Clinic. I'm also a geriatric nurse practitioner. I specialize in elderly care medicine. And I'm so blessed. I've been actually part of the Cannabis Expo since 2017, and I'm so happy to be the moderator for this amazing panel for women in cannabis, pioneering women in cannabis. So I'm just going to go around and introduce them, and I'm going to ask them a question, and then I'm going to open the floor for them to talk about themselves, and then we're going to open it up for you for any questions that you might have. I want to start by introducing Car Laulusa, CEO of NOAA. Next is Fuimaono-Poe. She's a nurse practitioner, owner, and operator of Malie Cannabis Clinic. Right next to her is Loretta Black, known as Lolo. She's a grower and a medical cannabis.
I think it's this one. I think it's that one.
The energy's too strong in the room.
That's strong.
It's electric.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I appreciate you. Lo is a grower and a cannabis farmer as well. Jen Lakalaka Manupuna also is another owner of H&H Farms in California, a medical cannabis craft dispensary provider. And we also have Juliana Ceja. She is a partner with the Verde group, and she's the director and operation of Mauna Lani Medical Aesthetics and Bio-Rejuvenation Center on the Big Island. We have a group of wonderful women. I'm just going to ask a question. I'm just going to open the floor for them. And my question to them is, what does cannabis mean to you, and what's your message that you want to give today for this group? What's your message about cannabis that you have? Go ahead. Whoever wants to go first.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. So, I'm Car. I am new to panel participation. So, I represent No Botanical as one of the 8 medical licensees. And for the past 3 years, we've participated. And so, I'm very honored to have been invited to sit on a panel. I'm very honored to be surrounded by successful women in cannabis. It's a man's world that I learned very short and quickly. Just like majority of other industries, right? Grocery, auto, like whatever you do, there's a bunch of men in the world. So it is always empowering to be surrounded by other women that are being very successful and being leaders in their industry. I think as an individual, when I think of cannabis, I think of cannabis as Lakalaka, which is Hawaiian for plant medicine. It has been plant medicine since before we were colonized. It has been plant medicine for thousands and thousands of years, and I think that we can all agree that it will continue to be plant medicine as we move forward. And I think it's very important that we continue to support medical patients, their interests, their rights, and their access to medicine, while also addressing the conflicting reality of viable cannabis being almost everywhere, and how to do that safely and compliantly as we move into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Fuimaono-Poe. I'm a family nurse practitioner, founder of the Malie Cannabis Clinic. We do certifications. I've been in the cannabis space for over 30 years, really doing more activism. I did the hemp walk with Jack Herrera in the 90s, and that really kind of started my journey with cannabis. So I believe first and foremost, cannabis as medicine. And when it comes to adult use, having an adult use market that's fair and that doesn't recriminalize legacy growers, and that also does something to the people who have been severely damaged by the war on drugs in the state of Hawaii. Without that, it really has to be the priority moving forward. And I think that as women in cannabis, when it started out, there was probably over 33% women in leadership positions. Now we're down to 22% nationwide. So really having women in leadership positions is so important. I think if we look at other models, one of the best examples I think is women in combat. There was this great story about one of the first women in combat ever. They were on a mission, and she noticed that there were no children, and that was her sign to be like, "Hey, we need to get out." And sure enough, they avoided a catastrophic day, and that was because there were women. We have a very unique eye and a unique angle in this industry, and right now the largest market that's growing is for women, 30 to 65. So really targeting women in a way that makes sense, you know. So yeah, I'm just thankful to be here. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Loretta Black here, but everybody calls me Lolo. I had somebody ask me, why is your name Lolo Pakaloha? Well, back then, it was because I was the crazy Hawaiian weed smoker. But as I went along and I understood me, I always said, Loretta is low, so that's where the low comes from. And you can't say aloha without saying low. I'll leave that right there. That's why I am Lolo. So I'm here because I speak for all the women. The women at home that cannot come out because we have children. The women at home that wants to grow, wants to be a part of something big. When I first started making salves was my thing. I'm a cancer survivor, first stage uterus cancer. After my 4th child, they took my uterus. They said that you have 5 years, and if you don't do what you do, we're gonna lose you. I said, take it, I don't need it no more. So raising my daughters, they're all adults now. And 3 of my daughters use cannabis for their own problems. But I had to look and see what I was going through. I'm a domestic violence survivor as well. And I'm from Kalihi. We don't have good dental work, so all my teeth were going bad when I met my husband 25 years ago. So all the pain that I was feeling from bridge work, because I redid my mouth twice. All the pain that I was feeling, it was bad. So as I moved up and I moved on, I wanted to grow my own pot because I would go down into the hood and get flour. I know of every corner on this island because I used to go onto it. I used to take my kids, I put them in the back of the car, cover them, and go. And I didn't want to do that anymore because my kids' safety was the most important thing to me. So I stopped doing that and I started growing my own. I got my card, gave them my grow site, and I did it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I tried. And over the years, I've learned how to incorporate the cannabis, not just smoking it, with making salves, making oils, dressings, you know, and now in my life, I understand cannabis because when I was younger, you know, we just smoke it. It's what it is, but I understand it now. It's what it does, yeah. I am cancer-free today. And I am a personal home grower. You can see me at events. But I think my most important message here today is, if it's not good for the community, then I don't want a part of it. This is my 8th Hawaii Cannabis Expo. And I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be hiding in the back of a show with my box of brownies that I want to give to the people. Because when I make 2 for me, I make it 2 for them. And I don't want to hide anymore. We don't want to hide no more. We want to come out. We want to be able to say, hey, look at what we can do. I'm sorry, you guys don't own this show anymore. I'm just saying in a really nice way. Because there's women on this panel and there's women out there in the world that want to be here. It took me 8 expos to get here. To throw my voice out. To say what I needed to say. But that's how long it had to take. So I had to grow. It's got to be good for me. It's got to be good for my community. It's got to be good for the woman, the man, the child. We got to be able to, the farmer. We cannot forget the legacy growers that made Hawaii's history where it is today. I will never stop fighting for the farmer. There's so much gray areas. There's so much red tape, whatever you want to call it. But I believe together, because we got a lot of strong women here. When I got into this, I took the Cannabis Career Institute. May you remember? I took that course online, and then they came to Hawaii right here. We had to do our tests and all this and that, and I got my dispensary management, strain selection, and bartending. 3 degrees I got. Because I wanted to work at NOAA, and I wanted to work at the Cure, and I wanted to be involved. But it didn't work out that way when I sent my resume. I didn't hear anything, so I just let that go. Because I said, it's okay, Lo. You go find your niche. That's why I'm in tears today. This isn't something for me that I just come and say, oh, I want to be a girl. I want to grow weed. I want to sell weed. I want to do this. I want to do that. No, that's not me. I want to help people. Even the people that don't know about it. So that when it's their time and everything's on the table, they have an opportunity to see and experience, if they want to or not, what we are doing. This is a big community here in Hawaii. We can do this if we stick together, but we can't do this if we're separated, if we're here and we're there. You know the line, united we stand, divided we fall. I firmly believe in that line, because united we stand, divided we fall. We cannot do this alone. We need her. We need her. We need me. We need her. We need her. We need her. We all have different roles in this community. We all need to stick to those roles. Put it out. Not be selfish anymore. If we can take our head out of our butts long enough to see the bigger picture for all concerned. Be mindful of all concerned. Because we live on one small island and everybody know everything. Nothing gonna pass me on this island. I'm just saying. But we live in a small community. But it's rather large and rather caring, and I'll say that again. Our community is caring. That's why I'm here. That's why I would never move. Lord, why don't you move to the mainland? I'm good right here in Hawaii. Because if I cannot make one difference here, then I ain't gonna make a difference there. So I choose to do them right here in Hawaii. These events that they hold all the time. This is where we can come together as women. Bring our voices and our heads and our hearts together. Do the thing. Follow the laws of the land, the state. Stick together. That's why I'm here, you know. And I love the Expo. This is my 8th Expo, and I'm very happy to be here. And so I kind of hugging it up, but you're not gonna pass them right now. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, because without people, men and women in this industry, we wouldn't be able to do this. But I love you, Hawaii. I love you guys. Lolo, Pakaloha here. Now you know why they call me Lolo. And I'm not just a crazy Hawaiian weed smoker. Thank you.
I could listen listened to my sister Lo all day. I forgot we were being recorded. I forgot we were in this room. I was just enjoying the moment and listening to everything you have to say. And thank you so much. You're gonna make me cry for sharing such a beautiful story. Because there, the mics were acting a little funny when we sat down because there was a lot of powerful energy with women. My husband was mentioning to Dr. Abby over there this morning because the plan's a woman. Come on, guys, But the reason why I'm here, I'm a 30-year legacy farmer out of Humboldt, California. Our sugar bag logo is all over the place. In Hawaii, it's C&H, but in Humboldt, it's H&H. H&H, Humboldt and Hawaii. I've been growing for 30 years. I, like Lo, done everything from growing to dispensing it to salve to this to that, but that's not the reason why I'm here. I mean, I love my sisters. I love everybody that's up here with us. I see everybody's strengths and everybody's weaknesses, but the reason why I'm here, and I apologize that I'm not trying to grab myself this morning, but it's very personal. I mean, Lo touches my heart because it's very personal. The last 18 months, 2 years, I've had more in the last 2 years what's been going on with me personally than I did 30 years ago growing, my females with helicopters above my head because it's very personal, and like it hurts to hold the microphone right now because both my arms were chopped up. We removed my cancer lymph nodes Friday. But it's so important to let you know that I got up this morning, I take my RSO oil from Chad, Matt Taylor's head stash for 18 months, 24 months. He got me out of a wheelchair. He got me into an amazing pimp cane, Lo comes to my house. She makes sure I always have my medicine. I wrote prescriptions for 17 years in the ER. ER, trauma, delivery, labor and delivery, you name it, I did it. But that wasn't what fulfilled me. What fulfilled me was the medicine, and we're helping each other out. So thank you so much for letting me be here. I get super nervous. I'm not a panelist. I'm definitely behind the bushes for 30 years or behind Lo for the last 2 years. So thank you for taking this in the spirit's intended, but we're definitely here for the medicine, for the women. And honestly, just come to us. In Hawaii, I'll say this and then I'll be quiet too, but Hawaii is very special, and I'm not gonna cry. I know I look like the token white girl up here, but
That's right.
my dad is Samoan, my husband's Tongan. I look very, very fair. I have 10 children, 5 grandchildren. We believe in the medical properties of this medicine. I will never call it dope. I will not call it weed. I will call it medicine. I went to medical school. I'm a female farmer for 30 years. I believe in the scientific properties of this stuff, but especially in Hawaii. Hawaii is so special. It's so spiritual. It's so cultural. You want to be successful in cannabis? Start at home. Like Lo said, start at home. We're women. We're strong women, but we're not by ourselves. Hawaii, the spirits, our ancestors, our husbands, our spouses, our children, our ohana. You think I can't hold a microphone right now? You think I can harvest a 5-acre farm with multi-million-dollar plants? No, my sons do that. My sisters do that. So thank you for letting us be here.
All right.
It's going along. It's coming along.
Hi everybody, thank you Lo. Hi everyone, my name is Juliana Ceja. So I am partner of the Verde group, which is a social equity founded consulting firm. Myself, as well as 4 of other social equity members in Illinois, had won a dispensary license, and another had won a couple of the craft licenses. So going through the experience of social equity in Illinois and kind of hearing from women who I've created relationships with and known for a long time in states like New York and other states around the U.S. and then coming here, just looking to understand and create community and find community. So as I am newer to the industry of cannabis, I'm not new to cannabis per se. And what I mean by that is, yes, when I was younger, teenage years, had the experience with smoking cannabis, in my early 20s. I unfortunately lost my daughter, and it was hard. Okay, so dealing with depression and the loss of a child at such a young age kind of led me down a path to using things that, did not serve me well. So going into my 30s and kind of coming out of that and having my second daughter, who was born with craniofacial issues, cleft palate, and learning that it was environmental factors. So all of this kind of led me away, including my mom being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, my grandmother being diagnosed, and them both passing within the last few years. So I'm telling you this journey of these moments because these were crucial moments in my life that have led me to really critique conventional medicine and start looking at plant-based and more of traditional medicine. And it's funny because if you go over there in the corner, you'll see a big sign that says alternative medicine. And it's like, this is not alternative, this is traditional. And it only became alternative until after the plant was demonized. And once synthetics were then introduced, then all of a sudden cannabis became alternative. And I want to be part of that narrative that not only changes the landscape and understanding of this plant and wellness, but I'm not here to say that I know everything about cannabis. I do not. But what I am adamant about is about creating community with other women like yourselves, like those on this panel, and making sure that we have a safe space to speak about it. Not only, it doesn't always have to be like a consume club. It doesn't always have to be, one way or another. You don't have to look a certain way, but welcoming to women of all kinds to be able to contribute in a productive conversation as to a broad spectrum of how do I get involved? I had a 15-year tenure in technology. And what really piqued my interest coming back into kind of more of the cannabis landscape is Pico CBD IV, which cannabis isn't new. IV and saline, we've all had that, whether it be in the ER, you do it for vitamins, that's not new. What's new is the Pico technology, which Pico means 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And so that allows the components within the plant to be broken down small enough so it is the world's first sterile CBD. And we should have it here available in Hawaii. We should have it available across because it has helped me immensely, not only with depression, with anxiety. And so there are all these different modalities within cannabis. And so I'm going to kind of bring this to an end and say, I think as women in cannabis, and to echo the statements of the women who came before me, is that it's, there's a broad spectrum of use, there's a broad spectrum of modalities. We need to educate ourselves and not only the traditional component of the plant, but the different modalities that are available, and just open up the dialogue to women in this community.
Well, I'll let you introduce yourself, my dear. Miss Empress.
First and foremost, I have to give thanks to my creator, my ancestors, the Orishas and the Loas that brought me here today, because without them, I wouldn't be here. So I greet you in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress and King Alpha and Queen Omega. And I greet you, and I apologize to everyone here, to people who are here to listen to the distinguished women who are on the panel. I apologize to you for my tardiness, but I'm here and I'm so grateful to be here. And I did have a slide presentation, so somebody missed the memo that I needed a projector, and I had some visuals to show you, but I can still speak about our story. This is our story, not his story. So I would also like, before I forget, to really thank the Hawaii Cannabis Expo organizers for, after 8 years, this is my second year coming here, to have invited us to be a part of this. And it's important for organization like the Hawaii Cannabis Expo to continue and featuring those who have been excluded in the cannabis industry. Having said that and established protocols, I am Empress Modupe. I am a Ganja War veteran, master teacher, certified cannabis health and wellness coach, certified in natural farming, certified Hawaii Go Farm Her, certified at St. Louis University in cannabis science and operation. I also have a Master of Science in Education, a Bachelor's in History, and a Bachelor's in Africana Studies. This has informed me with 40 years of academic, cultural, professional, and traditional experience with cannabis medicine and natural farming. I am the owner of Balm of Gilead Cannabis Health and Wellness Ministry, which is a business that's founded in the Rastafari cultural and spiritual tradition of my Afro-Caribbean ancestors. I am an activist, an artist, an educator, a farm her with over 40 years experience advocating for criminal justice and cannabis reform legislation. New laws that will decriminalize and legalize cannabis with measures addressing reparatory and restorative justice measures. Our ministry is committed to serving BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of colors, communities that have been adversely impacted by the war on drugs, as you've heard from your panelists here, especially Lolo. We have very strong ties to family and community. Being of service is part of our cultural and spiritual way of life as Rastafari. We cannot promote the use of cannabis medicine or recreational without including a vital significance in promoting our local farmers and supporting them. We have scientific evidence to show how healthy plant-based nutrition and cannabis medicine can support a healthy endocannabinoid system, which in turn creates homeostasis in all our regulatory systems, making us whole, healthy beings as we were created to be. We provide cannabis literacy through activism, advocacy, education with health and wellness coaching. We're passionate, as you can tell, about assisting others to take a leap of faith in plant medicine and nutrition. We empower individuals and communities by educating and supporting adults in their intentional use of plant-based medicine and cannabis medicine, as everyone on the panel has been pointing out, and I'm just supporting them in that reiteration. Balm of Gilead Cannabis and Wellness Ministry, we are producers and processors of environmentally friendly and sustainable agricultural products. We promote and support our local farmers using organic practice in cultivation and in our use of making our local value-added agricultural products. Our products, some of the examples, and I will show you the slideshow. As a culinary artist and a farmer, we take our surplus products and create, value-added products. And we do the same thing with our cannabis as well. We have known and learned from our ancestors how to infuse using natural solvents like honey, like oil, and simply alcohol to get our plant medicine. No chemicals or anything like that, so we still practice the traditional way. So we utilize Hawaii agricultural products. We try to stay local to advocate, inspire, and promote health and wellness nutrition. Through the use of our local and in-season food, we also in our community prepare foods for people. We teach them healthy nutrition, food preparation, and preserving of agricultural surplus. A lot of food gets wasted here. And if people learn how to process them, like for example, using the ulu to make flour, to make other nutritious goods, that can be marketed by women farmers as well as other farmers. It's adding value to Hawaii's agriculture, because I understand that Hawaii imports 90% of its food, and that is a detriment to the growth of a nation, to the growth of a people, to the growth of a kingdom. It leaves the nation in a servitude, in a dependency state. So Hawaii has to return to promoting the local farmer, supporting the local farmer, and ensuring that male or female farmers will be able to add value to the economy, and that we can decrease that import cost that it costs the state right now to import and businesses to import foods. Support your local farmer. We practice a no-waste philosophy, making various value-added products, as I say. We also teach people your own do-it-yourself courses for those who want to learn our recipes and skills in food processing, preparation, and preservation, combining healthy nutrition and plant-based medicine. We are a Rastafari-owned enterprise. Because folks would say, well, why should we follow Balm of Gilead? Why are you so unique? Well, we're unique because we are Rastafari and we are owned by women. Our ministry assists an underrepresented and supported demographics, namely the kupunas, the chronically and terminally ill persons and veterans. Through the use of our local in-season food, as I said, we teach them how to do these things to stay healthy and to support our local farmers. Then earlier I said I'm a Ganja war veteran. Most of you are saying, and including Gregor Iligan, who I had a meeting with, our distinguished Deputy Speaker of the House. He said, you know, Empress, I take offense at you calling yourself a veteran because I'm a veteran and they're veterans and so on. I said, we are veterans because we are survivors of the war on drugs and green harvest. That was Hawaii's war on drugs. I'm not here, I didn't just come here today. My family has been here in Hawaii since 1983. I moved to the Big Island in 84, and we started, meaning my brother, my cousins, and my partner then, started growing those 12, 14 feet colas that Green Harvest would, what did she say, fly over our heads. So we've been through it. We've been there and done that. So if you want to learn more about our ministry and how you can support us, dare to learn about how traditionally curated cannabis medicine and mostly plant-based nutrition has helped me to eliminate my use of anxiolytics and opioids to combat chronic pain and mental health challenges. 450 years of post-traumatic stress disorder, multi-generational stress disorder. And we still have to face it because if you look at the statistics, we meaning people of African descent, make up 14% of the United States population, but yet a disproportionate number of African Americans. Let's say there were, for every person that was incarcerated, a person of a different racial group that was incarcerated for cannabis, at least 10 times more people of African descent were criminalized for it. So take a time and think about that. Dare to learn, and then schedule your first time free 45 minutes consult with me to discover how our ministry can be of service to you to be on your way to improve mental, physical, and spiritual health and wellness. You can check out our blog, We Cookin' with Cannabis 365. You can also select your own DIY courses offered from this site. Set up a consultation and contact us for our meal prep services, because we do that. And because I don't want to yakety yak and take up everybody's time, I know Abby has a lot of questions for us. The final thing I'll say is, speak your truth to power. Oh, even before that, I wanted to say, volunteer, register to vote, and then speak your truth to power. Be a guest speaker or caller on our live podcast. Yes, Auntie has a live podcast called Cannabis, the Healing of All Nations, and we air live during the last Wednesday of each month on globalmeds.net, which is an internet radio based out in New York City, and they picked up Auntie from here. And so we start at 3 p.m. Hawaii time, 5 Pacific, 7 Central, and 8 Eastern time in the winter. And when they change back that time on the East Coast, we do it 2 p.m. Hawaii time. So what is our vision? Our vision is that there will be more support for women farmers, because when I look at the statistics, as far as, and this was all in my slides, but unfortunately I can't show it to you. But what I'm to say here, the number of farms in Hawaii is like, there's right now on the island of Hawaii, there's 3,368 farms, right? Out of that, there are less than 1% Black women owning a farm here. When we look at the statistics for farmers, yes, let me read this to you. Black farmers in the United States, in 2022, there were 46,738 Black producers in the United States, which is about 1.4% of all producers. Black farmers own less than 1% of the country's farmland. The percentage of black women farmers in the United States is less than 1%. Okay? So imagine that. So if we're gonna bring it to here, you can imagine how many, there might be 8 black farms here on the island, and I'm still searching to see how sustainable they are and how much support. My personal experience with the Department of Agriculture, when I got my certification from Go Farm, I went to the Department of Agriculture hoping to get a grant. They told me, first of all, I need land to get a grant. But gee, I didn't grow up having that money set aside for me to be able to buy 20 acres of land. How may I get that? Oh, well, we can give you a loan. But, oh yeah, I don't mind applying for a loan. Well, you need collateral. What you got for collateral? So it's a catch-22 for us because of the great disparity in wealth and the racial gap in that wealth. Because do your homework and see, for every average white family, the median income, annual income is about $100,000 or so. And that's for the just working class families, right? For the African American family, it's between $17,000 and $20,000 of income. So try to picture us trying to own a 20-acre farm right here in Hawaii like that. Okay, so basically the factors that affect us, as I said, systemic discrimination. Black farmers have faced discrimination from public and private institutions, including the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Government farm programs, inequities in the administration, government farm programs have negatively impacted rural communities of color. Black-owned farms are generally smaller than any other farms in the U.S. And not to disparage any racial group, but in terms of saying the minorities, and when you're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, the people who have benefited the most from diversity, equity, and inclusion are white male. Okay, and next, white females. Then, and this is not me, statistics. I had it all lined up on slides for you, but right now it's all my notes, so I'm talking from out of my head. I'm stressing all this to say that we, women of color, we're not working on a level playing field. And we need that. Like Lolo said, she has not been getting the support that she's needed, where she wanted to work, the things that she's wanted to do as a woman, and she's fortunate to be here. Been here 8 years. She's a Kanaka Malie. Why is this her first time speaking here? And like I said, I'm not disparaging anybody, but again, I'm going to commend Hawaii Cannabis Expo because the first time is still good. Even if the 8th Expo is the first time that you feature a panel like this, it means that you, as organizers, are growing as well. So we need to give Hawaii Cannabis Expo a big round of applause as well, okay, for having the courage to listen to us when we speak to them, to open a way, to be not just, I'm just going to be a gatekeeper and keep those noisemakers like Empress out, but we're going to open our doors to everyone, particularly the women of the industry, because women make up less than 3% of this cannabis industry. And I will end this by saying again, my eternal gratitude for everyone that is here, those who are here in the audience, those who are my distinguished colleagues here on the panel, for your contributions to the cannabis industry, for your stories. Everyone's story here has power, has mana, has value, and is enriching my life as well as the life of those who are listening to you right now. And again, I thank my creator, my ancestors, the Roas and the Orishas, for bringing me here today. I thank the Hawaii Cannabis Expo for inviting me again, and I thank my distinguished panelists as well as our audience. Mahalo nui. Asante.
Thank you, Empress, and thank you all. We're gonna open it up now for questions for the or for anyone. And just raise your hand if you have any questions.
Good morning, Manawahine panel, and so many in the room right now. I'm just going to sit down since we're in a casual vibe. I want to share just a little bit before I ask my question, because I think context is important when we get down to it. My name is Amy. I have worked a lot in community organizing. I'm a Girl Scout at heart. I grew up in a farming family, have lived here since I was 18 years old, and have done a lot of work within the cannabis community just because I love the plant. I know personally, I can look down the line, I see colleagues, past colleagues, I see community workers, I see people that have given me my plant medicine and advised me. I see women farmers that we collectively collaborate on how we can empower the local female and Hawaii's farmers, period. Right? And just one thing that I noticed working for a dispensary and within a dispensary, and I want to preface it with this. This is not to divide, but we have a unique opportunity in history to come together. And the goals really are everyone's. And what I saw was that of 8 license holders, and it's no one's fault per se in the sense like the way the system was set up, we're all underneath that structure. With those 8 license holders, we can, and they're the only ones that can retail. It's vertically integrated, right? You have to be the grower, you have to be the lab, you have to be the retail, you have to be the distributor of it, right? So that cuts out anyone else right now for wholesale. And except for they can wholesale and pass laws where they can wholesale amongst themselves, which is technically illegal because you're shipping it through air or through ocean routes. So how is it coming from one island to another? Again, laws that have been passed. It's just a reality of the contradictions we all face within the cannabis community. I think there's a lot of things that helps with having access and safe access, and there's a benefit to having the medicinal side to it. In order, what I saw was we have 8 license holders right now. The sugar and pineapple industry was controlled by 5 license holders, 5 barons, and you can directly relate that to the overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom. And what you see in that is the systemic racism. This has been documented throughout history, and it's really interesting the way that the Green Harvest shut that down as well to make people afraid. And then you can look at it. I was living here in the 90s, and no one referred to a crackhead or a chronic because it wasn't even a thing. Everybody was smoking Pakaloha, and then it switched almost overnight. Why are these people acting like this? What's happening, right? And it's communities. And so you watch that decimation of it, and right now there's this unique parallel where at the end of Prohibition, we are 100-year end of Prohibition, similar to alcohol. We're doing that in cannabis right now. And if you look at the state's goals and you look at the metrics, because that's what's going to get the state's attention, they need to understand where and how are they going to generate money, right? And there's a way that everybody can benefit, because right now, in order to generate money, if there's only 8 licenses, and by the way, there's 33,000 cardholders in the state. 33,000 for all of the farms, right? For all of the dispensaries, rather. That's all that they can service. So let's assume that we go to a rec and a legal market, right? And we have 10 million people that come here every year. Of those 10 million, we're going to have what? 10% are going to want to buy medical cannabis? What's the math? That's 1 million customers, from 33,000 to 1 million. From a supply chain, it's not even possible for 8 license holders to be able to supply that unless they're importing product. And we have an opportunity as farmers, as a community, as a backbone to practice, la'au. It's the roots of the culture. It's not a drug. It's a medicine. It was only shamed to be a drug during times like the end of Prohibition, during Randall Hearst, because he didn't want to switch over his paper to hemp because it was too easy to manufacture it on trees and timber that's even doing, so he made it illegal. Started Pakaloha madness and reefer madness. So right now, what I would love to see and hear is an opportunity for the community to come together. And I know it's hard for the dispensaries in some ways because they're in that structure. But without using the Hawaii's farmers and the growers, there's multiple things we're missing out on. Revenue for the farmers, revenue for the tax, and not millions of dollars. You look at small states like Vermont, it's billions of dollars of a voluntary tax for recreational cannabis. Where else are we going to get that?
What's your question?
I'm getting there, one second, because this is important what I have to say, and I have this knowledge, and it's not awesome. We're women, let's help each other out, because this is going to help the community, okay? And we have an opportunity right now with the market that's available. Hawaii's going to be a huge export market, too. So everyone in here, as the women, How can we better support our community and gather together and bring this information forward so that we can look back and see that we made a better history? And if you look at alcohol right now, it's the same. I work with Olabru, and I can sell and work product and sell it right beside Anheuser-Busch. It should be regulated the same. Cannabis could do the same. There's no reason that we need one building versus another. And if we don't protect the local farmers, we're not only going to have imports rushing in, MSOs are going to take over, but we have to hit the state's goals. If we want to work together with the state, they want to have farming and agricultural sustainability around food source. Empress was referencing some of that. They want to have it around food source. So one of their goals is they have to invest in the agricultural infrastructure to do that.
What's your question?
So what I was going to get to,
Yeah.
so one thing that I've noticed and seen going around is Pakaloha project. If you look at that, there is a lot of, it's an open framework for people to add their feedback, share what they think, and it's a gathering place to sign petitions and to be able to make adjustments to it and share these ideas so we're not stuck with just this one meeting. So, and I know that that's community created. I know there's no lobbyists behind it. There's no dispos. There's no MSOs that are in there. So what I would like to ask of the community, how do you guys see us working together so that the farmers are included and it's not just sitting on the state license structure and we have imported cannabis? Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Hello, Amy. So Amy and I have had the opportunity to work together also at Nova Botanicals. And I want to give a two-part answer because this is super meaningful to me. So my first part will be the answer as the CEO of Nova Botanicals. As the CEO of Nova Botanicals, I would like to remind everyone that licensees don't write the law, they have no power to change the law, and they need to follow the law. It is really that simple, you guys. They are put in a box, and if they step out of that box, they risk losing their licensure. So to engage with the community has been a challenge. But we will continue to do so because we at Nova Botanicals embrace our Juliana and will always be Pono. Those are two of our company values. The number one company value that we have is to cultivate Ohana in all that we do. That means taking care of one another, taking care of our patients, and taking care of our community. Granted, this is all under my leadership, so it is a very different Nova Botanicals than what it was 5 years ago. Because the team is different, the people are different, the vibe is different, the culture is different. And so I hear everyone's frustration. For the past 3 years, we have tried to be participative in the community. We pay for a booth, and we come, and we smile, and we try to ho'oponopono, which is to repair and restore relationships with everyone in the industry, to try and collaborate. And I understand not everyone is comfortable. There is no trust, not everyone wants to engage, and that's okay. We're still gonna come back every year, year after year, until we establish trust-based relationships, because as a licensee, as one of the only 8, I do think we are firm in our values, and we believe in taking care of the community. And in order to do that, we gotta be with the community. We have to have these discussions. We need to brainstorm. We need to actively legislate together. And so that is my answer as the CEO of Nova Botanicals. My answer as Car the person is very different. And I think this is probably why it is a lot easier for me out of all 8 licensees to come to an organized event, the largest one in the state where licensees are not welcome. Okay, thank you, Lolo. So one, I am Native Hawaiian, of this land, raised on this land, continuing to raise my children on this land. That is not easy. We are already a minority, and we already face the same challenges minorities face throughout the world, right? So that's one. Number 2, I have a lot of professional experience, but that is not born out of luck. That is born out of being born poor and needing to immediately go to work as a child and having been gainfully employed since I was 15 years old. That becomes a blessing when you're older because you can walk around in your 40s and be like, oh, I have 30 years of experience of life because I've been working since I was a kid. But I bring this up because my parents did the best that they could, and I love them very much. They had me very, very young. They were both from Kalihi. My mom is from Merrites. My dad's family is from Camp 4. And my husband is from Puyo. So I got the Kalihi trifecta deep in my heart. But I will say this. My dad and my uncles used to grow weed in Kalihi Valley. So during green harvest, you hear the helicopter up in the valley. They're all running outside to make sure their plants are not getting cut, sprayed, or set on fire. My life path as an adult was very different from that because that was my life as a child. So obviously, those big, brave men that loved me and raised me did not want me to be selling drugs. Too bad for them. I ended up selling drugs just the legal way, not the way that they were doing it. And so I am very passionate about cultivating relationships and bringing everyone back to the table so that we make the right decisions the first time when we are faced with the opportunity to implement adult use. And so I get it. It's contentious because everybody has different priorities and perspectives about what is important to them. And that's the beauty of collaborating. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to have the same views, but sitting together, communicating and compromising will get us to the best result. I tell my team that all the time. We're all very different humans. That's how it needs to be. All the women up here have very different life experience. Very, very different. But if we all come together and collaborate, the result should be pretty amazing. Especially because men cannot collaborate that way. No offense. It's very hard to get men to collaborate in that manner. So, thank you for that, Amy. That is my response.
Anyone else has any questions? I think we have 3 more.
My name is Alexis. Nice. Thank you to each and every one of you women for representing us women out here. Thank you. You've paved the way so we can do good work. I am going to just be honest. I'm a supporter right now. I'd like to see us move forward to adult use, and with your expertise, maybe I would like to make some recommendations because I don't think it's a perfect bill from your experience. If you support it or not, are there any key words that you would like to see that would be put as a recommendation, or any just experiences that you have that you would like to contribute, just so that when I'm writing my testimony, I have the advice of the panel in your experience.
I just would like to just say something really quick. For language is really important, and this is for like everyone, especially the dispensaries. I'm really sick of hearing the word illicit market, and I'm really sick of hearing legacy growers be criminalized, and that I think needs to come out of everybody's language and call it either legacy or traditional. And the framing the illicit market as criminals really has to stop. I mean, that's what we see it a lot. It's like, I don't know who's worse, the prohibitionists or the capitalists, because both of the messaging is the same. That the farmers are the enemy and that only tested cannabis is safe. I think that we have to really get beyond that. And that's probably one place where we can come kind of like to change the language and stop using illicit. It was illicit market, but it was wrong. And I think that language matters, and we have to prioritize equity in small farmers. One thing that is concerning, I'm not sure, is the piece around land ownership and licensing. I think that's something that has to really be addressed, because you can have a social equity program, but if you don't own the land, like what Empress was saying, that's going to be a huge issue and a huge barrier. So those were kind of the big things that stood out for me in this bill. But otherwise, this is the best bill that we've had.
I wanted to add, thank you, May. I also wanted to add, just adding to what May was saying about the language, another thing I want to add is when people use recreational. I don't find anything recreational about cannabis. Even if you're using it to elevate your mood, it is medicinal. So we need to not correct, but like address it and say it's adult use, because that's the proper term for it. It's always medicinal. and we all came here together we all love the plant, and some of us use it, some of us it's been in our life in some way or another. And I agree completely. We've been in a divided market that was not getting us anywhere. And now is the time for us to, our politicians are listening, and you're asking how can we meet, is actually submit your testimony. Submit it by tonight or by tomorrow the latest, because on Tuesday is the testimony for it. And it is a good bill. It has some, like some stuff in it. I don't agree. There's one thing in it that talks about intoxication and driving. There's a study, that I read that does not correlate THC, levels to degrees of intoxication actually. So we need to amend those and speak up and say, hey, we're okay for adult use, but we want to see these kind of amendments. So everyone is listening. So you don't have to be there in person to testify. You can testify online. You don't have to even speak. You can just submit a testimony online, but just please do it. It's usually 24 hours ahead of time. That's how you make a difference in the community. And that's how we make a difference as women as well. It's time for us to speak up. Okay? Please, Ms. Empress.
Kenny, right here.
Okay, thank you for that. In terms of, and your question about how you can contribute to, because obviously you're on some committee or something that's viewing this.
No, I agree.
Alexis, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
I'm
Sorry.
just,
No, you're not.
yeah.
As a constituent and a woman in cannabis that wants to have a voice, I want to submit testimony, which I'm going to do tomorrow. So I'm asking, right, where from your professional opinions, since you are women in cannabis, like May had said, like where we make recommendations in the bill, because we don't want to be a bill killer.
Yes.
We want to say what we would like to see, not say what we don't like.
Okay.
So I want to hear from you what you would like to see.
Awesome. Okay, so what I would like to see is some regulation that is not framed from a structural and systemic racist perspective. Most of the legislators framing these laws, they have no cultural, no historical, very little knowledge about the plant. And they're framing regulations that, in my opinion, are very paternalistic. So we need to remove those paternalistic attitudes out of that those legislation. And we're talking about language, right? To me, the language, again, as one panelist said, has to be specific. Specify what you're talking about in the language so that your audience would know exactly and not feel overwhelmed by the legalese in every. I saw the bill. Which one are we talking about? HB what? Because there's a bunch of HBs going on. Okay. As I said, for me, 340 pages to say one thing, it could be said in 2 pages, what the legislation is trying to do. And I think 340 pages of repeating the same thing as, for example, in the first page, defining what the term cannabis is and what they're talking about and what it means. The average person has no time to read your bill. They need 2-3 pages. And this is what I'm saying. This is the recommendation. Make it brief, make it simple that every person can read it. Make access to knowing when these bills are going to be read, not the day before, not the week before, but months ahead, legislators, so that people who have no access to the internet, people who cannot possibly submit testimony online because they're working, that they still have a community resource that would represent them and be there to express what the needs of that community is. Basically, correct that language of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's really just words. Make it, again, as I said, legible and understandable for the average person, the average cannabis medical patient, okay? and say how it's going to take place, because it blows my mind when I see regulators who have no experience with the plant, have no connection to it other than commodifying it and wanting to make some money out of it, enter and say, this is how you, the adult, this is how much cannabis you can have. The recommendations for the 4 ounces, wipe that out. Every person has a unique endocannabinoid system. You're not my daddy. You're not my doctor. You're not my grandpa. Please do not tell me how much cannabis that I am to make my medicine with on a monthly basis. Because what can work for me, and the medical professionals here can know that. If a tablespoon works for me for a particular condition, and this young lady in the front has the same condition, and only a half a teaspoon work for her, we need to be able to have the choices to work around that. You, the person who's legislating that I can only have access to 5 plants during the month, you have no knowledge of the plant. You have no history in the connection. And as a Rasta, you're gonna tell me how much herb I must use? First of all, you violated, including that legislation, no violation of my human right to worship my creator as I want to and as I'm taught by my ancestors for hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of years before you were commodifying the plant. And I'm taking up too much of your time, but I think you get what I'm saying. This laws need to be revamped. You need to call the entire communities. People, by the way, Noah Botanical, with all due respect, the 8 licensees, yes, y'all say that you try to outreach to communities and everything. Hey, I never heard a word from y'all. I've reached out to your botanicals from the Big Island, trying to offer cannabis education. Whoever it was that took the phone, whoever it was that got the email, never contacted me. And I've dealt with Hawaiian Ethos, Big Island Growing on the island. We've had similar conversation. Be more inclusive. Really, really make an effort. When you're out there in the booth, make an effort to get people to come to you and to conversate with you. Hold events in which you are actually hosting community people, not the day before you coming to town. Weeks and months ahead. If you really want us, we're here to guide you. And the regulators are holding you in a chokehold because you really don't stick with the people. The power is in the hands of the people and in the land. All power to the people.
Farmers. Thank you, everyone. I think we've exceeded our time. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And thank you, everyone.